Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021. I'm your host, Chanelle Allen. Mac and Talk is an open forum Q&A conference call for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you're just getting started and need some help learning VoiceOver on that new Mac or the Mac that's just been sitting around for a while, or you could be deciding whether the Mac is the right device for you in the first place. Maybe you have been using your Mac for a while and have a question about an app or feature. For whatever reason, I am glad that you have contacted us this evening or joined us now or later on via the recording. To begin, I would like to just mention our website and social media. iBUG Today offers so many awesome training workshops and social events, and the best way to find out about them is through visiting our website, which is ibugtoday.org. And then there is an upcoming link or tab where you'll find all the events that are coming up for the month. September's events have not yet been posted, but they will be. And in addition, on that website, you may sign up to receive our events, register, and then they'll come to your email. You can also just learn more about us, who we are, what we do, and listen to recordings of all of our prior workshops. All of our announcements are posted to social media as well. Our Facebook is facebook.com/groups/iBugToday. And in addition to being a great place to learn about what's coming up, you may also correspond with other members and attendees in between our events. So if you have questions about, mainly that's been related to iOS, but any sort of questions, iOS or Mac related, you may ask in the Facebook group. We also have an email list just devoted to Mac users and Mac questions. To find out more info about that email list, just go to our website, ibugtoday.org, look for the Mac and Talk link, and you will find the subscribe address, in addition to my contact info. On Instagram and Twitter, we have the hashtag, or we are at iBugToday. Sorry, not hashtag, handle, whatever you want to call it, just at iBugToday. And on Twitter, you can also go to twitter.com/iBugToday, even if you don't have Twitter, where our Twitter master, Herbie Allen, posts lots of Apple news, rumors, deals, lots of useful Mac info, in addition to our announcements. And then, as I said, on Instagram, at iBugToday. I'll just go over some of the things that we have coming up this week. On Thursday, we have an event in Clubhouse. It takes place actually every month on the fourth Thursday of the month. It's called It's iBUG's Life, facilitated by George Batiste. And this month's topic is We Are People Too. I think talking about the accessibility of certain places, their businesses, or whatever. Okay, so and then Friday, we have iBUG Night at the Virtual Movies, beginning at 7:30 with the pre-movie social, followed by the movie at 8, which this week is Taxi Driver, and starring Robert De Niro. I couldn't catch some of the other people that it was starring, but it sounds like a good movie. And then after the movie, we always have the discussion. And then Saturday, we have the iBUG Apple Workshop. That's always the fourth Saturday of the month from 2 to 4 p.m. It's a great opportunity to also take in some Apple news and to listen to our members demonstrate some of their favorite or most useful apps. Okay. Oh, yes, we do have every Monday evening our iBUG Buzz. This call is purely for Mac, only for Mac and nothing but the Mac. Well, on the iBUG Buzz, we take your questions related to iOS and all the other iDevices. That's every Monday from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Central on Zoom. And if you can't make the buzz, we have a mini buzz on Clubhouse on Tuesday evenings from 5 to 6 p.m. those are some of the things we have coming up. Again, be sure to check out that upcoming link on our website. Now we're going to go through, and this is where the meeting gets started. I will open the mics, and everyone, if you could please say your name, where you're calling from, and if you are a first-time caller. Actually, before I do that, I just want to mention we do not use the raised hand feature. So when you want to unmute or ask a question or make a comment, you'll say your name, wait to be acknowledged by me or Sandhya, and then you'll go ahead with your question or comment. And then when you're done, please go back on mute. Since this is being recorded, we just want to have as great of a recording as possible. All right, so the mics are now open. Whoever wants to get started may do so. Saying your name and where you're from.
This
I'm
is
David
Herbie in
Mandel.
Houston,
I'm
Texas.
from Berkeley, California.
Okay, welcome Herbie and welcome David.
This is Mark in Montreal.
Welcome Mark.
This is Gail in
Hi,
Houston. Hi.
This is Terry from Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Hi, Terry.
Orange County, California.
Welcome.
Susan from Houston.
All right, welcome.
Carol in San Antonio.
Hi, Carol.
Hi.
This is Brad. I'm in Dallas.
Hi, Brad.
Donna from North Carolina.
Hi, Donna.
Judy from Connecticut.
Hi, Judy.
Live in northern Minnesota.
Hi, Cliff.
Kathy Long from Pennsylvania. Oh, sorry.
Oh, hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Welcome.
This is Sandhya from Houston.
Hi, Sandhya. All right.
Great.
And
Suchita from Texas.
welcome. And are you a first-time caller?
Yes, I'm a first-time caller.
Great. How did you hear about Macintalk?
Actually, from Raul Gallagher. He was my trainer and helped me sign up for
Okay.
iBUG years ago. This is just, life is getting to a point where I can now start to join in.
That's awesome. We're glad to have you. Do you have a Mac?
No, but I would like to get one. So this was a great item that came up in your schedule.
Great. Well, awesome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
And then Stamatis, I believe you're new.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I was talking to mentioning another caller, but
Oh, okay,
we're glad
sorry.
to have you, Suchita. Welcome.
Thank you.
Stamatis, and I don't know if I'm still pronouncing that correctly. I think you're new to us. All right. Well, you can speak sometime whenever you'd like when we have another pause. So, and I think Nancy came in. Hello. Who would like to ask the first question?
This is Kathy Long. I'll be brave.
Okay. Hi, Kathy. Go for it.
Well, I'm a very, very much a beginner, and I have an old Mac, and I learned enough about it to know that there's a lot of things missing in the dock. It runs on Catalina, but they say there's an additional Catalina update for it. I don't know if it's worth continuing with this or just waiting until I have some income tax money next year and buy a half decent newer Mac. I've not done anything to it. You know, I haven't connected it to my Wi-Fi or anything, mostly because I don't know how. And I'm not really sure if I should. It doesn't have Pages in it. It doesn't have text editor in it. It doesn't have GarageBand in it. It basically has Finder and Mail and I don't know, a couple other things, but it seems like they scrubbed this thing really I mean, I should have got a lot more programs with it.
Okay, so it seems like you have two
This is Herbie.
questions where
I
the
do have a couple.
programs
Yeah.
and should you get a newer Mac. So go ahead, Herbie.
So first of all, I would definitely say yes, you should definitely get a newer Mac.
Yeah.
You'll find it'll run a lot better, not just in regards to the operating system, but like I think you'll notice a night and day difference in the performance.
I don't know
as
anything about the performance yet. I mean, I'm just.
well,
I-
you'll believe me, you'll notice a difference just in how fast it starts up everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trust me. So
Yeah, okay.
second thing, but to get to your question about so have you are you aware of the apps folder?
No, I didn't see a folder called apps.
I didn't think so. Well,
I
you
just
have
saw
to
docs.
No, okay,
doc.
so from your dock, if you open I'm assuming you have Finder on your dock?
I do. Well, I
So-
have Finder somewhere.
Yes.
I mean,
okay,
it's-
but if you
yes,
have
it's there.
Finder on your dock,
Uh-huh.
if you hit enter on that, then do a Command Shift Control A.
Wow, that's a lot. Command Shift Control A. Okay.
Yep. That is going to open your applications folder.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, it's Command Shift A. I'm sorry, not sorry. I put in an extra key there. That won't help.
Okay.
Command Shift A. I do apologize.
So I was running out of fingers.
Yep, that's okay. I do these things automatically, and so then I'm having to put it back into words, etc. But no, Command Shift A is
Okay.
going to open your apps folder, and there you should see a series of apps that you are not seeing on your dock.
Okay.
And then
But I'm not really sure I ought to continue with this. I mean, I can play around, but I don't really want to set it up to do anything like mail or anything until I get my real Mac that I want to pursue.
Right, but these commands are going to work the same way no matter which Mac
I
you're
know that.
using. So even
Yep.
if you don't want to make fully use of it, it's the same navigation commands whether you're in Catalina or Big Sur. So even if you practice now with the old Mac, then you're going to be in great shape for when you get your new Mac.
Awesome.
So
Tell me
if
that
you
command again.
Command Shift A
Shift
from the
A.
Finder.
Okay. All right. I can do that.
And another neat trick that you should be aware of is Command Shift H will get you to your home folder where you can browse all the folders on your Mac. And then if you open an app though from the apps folder, it's gonna appear on your dock, and I can give you more commands to keep it permanently there. But you should see all your apps in the apps folder.
Okay, that's great. I thank you. I think
welcome.
This is
I've
Cliff.
got enough to know now.
Yes, Cliff, go ahead.
I got one correction for Herbie because I just like showing him up. You
Oh, go
actually
for it.
don't you don't have to go to the dock and open Finder to do
I was gonna
Command Shift
mention
A. You can do it from anywhere on the Mac pretty
Oh,
much.
That's even
Yep.
better.
Except that unless they've made changes, you cannot do it from if you're browsing the dock. That's why I recommended opening the Finder folder, but you can
Well,
go
if
to
you're
your
browsing
desktop.
if you're browsing the dock, right? But if you're on your main Finder or whatever,
Yeah, if you're on
whatever
your
you're calling
Finder
it,
or your
whatever.
desktop, then yeah, you can. But that I just thought it would be easiest to give her a point of reference. That's all.
You know.
This
Well,
is
Cliff, I'll be coming to your class on Thursday.
all right. Well, this is Chanelle, and just as I always tell people to start at the desktop, which you get to
Yeah.
with VO Shift D or by pressing Command Tab.
I
That
know
is the
that.
preferred frame of reference, and from there you may do Command Shift A. But if you are in Safari, Command Shift A will bring up autofill, so you really don't want to do that there.
Oh,
All
And this is Herbie.
Okay, Herbie, go
Thank
ahead.
you.
Just
Thank
real
you,
quick,
everybody.
and Command Shift A also, like if in your Zoom, that's your command to mute and unmute. So
Oh, yes, I forgot to give people the commands for that. All right. So, yes, if you wish to unmute and you're joining us on a Mac, it is Command Shift A. If you're on your PC, it is Alt A. Using the iPhone app, unmute is in the lower left-hand corner, and via telephone keypad, it is *6. All right, so who has the next question? And just a reminder, please, everybody, go back on mute once you're done asking your question or making your comment.
This is Dot from California.
Hi, Dot.
Hi, can you please briefly announce the upcoming introductory Mac training course? So just in case anybody want to join.
Well, that class is currently full, but if you wish to get on the waiting list, you may do so by emailing me, and my email address is on our website. We also, one
Okay.
thing I forgot to mention in our announcements is if you go to youtube.com and search for iBUG Today, you will find all of our trainings posted there, our workshops, whether it's the Apple workshop, Mac and Talk, iBug Buzz, but also the Mac course is posted on YouTube. The course from the last spring, all the lessons are there on YouTube. So,
Oh, great. So just
thank.
on YouTube.
Yep.
The upcoming course is also on YouTube. Yes.
Well, it will be posted there eventually.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. So, who would like, and remember, everybody, please go back on mute. Who would like to ask our next question?
That's Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. When I turn on my Mac, it makes a cute little sound, but when I turn it off, it does not make a sound. Should it make a sound as it goes off as well?
All right. Who would like to answer Linda's question?
Brad.
Yes, Brad?
No.
Yep.
It just goes off.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So does mine. Yep, it does. It's interesting how that works. All right, great question.
Okay.
It's important to
All
know
right,
what's
thanks.
normal. Yep. Thank you. Who would like to ask our next question?
Suchita,
Suchita, hi.
how do I choose a Mac? Or the
Oh,
difference between a Mac, or should I just stay with a iPad with a keyboard?
okay. This is a great, it really depends on what, so I guess I just follow up with that. What is it that you want to do with your Mac? What is the thing that you feel like you would like to do with your Mac that you can't do on an iPad?
Mainly I deal with emails, and it's for my work. I actually run uniform decoration company. So I feel like with a Mac, just like instead of a laptop, I can hold it closer, to closer so I can see a little bit.
Okay.
Just so, and then, but I don't, and I know how to use iPhone and iPad, and the Mac, I don't know anything. I don't know what to buy or what.
This is
how to
Herbie.
even get started.
All right. Go ahead, Herbie.
So this is, of course, one of our most frequently asked questions, and I'm wondering if we need to contribute and put this on the iBug website. The big difference between Mac versus iPad is mobile versus full computing power experience. So for like in a Mac, if you want to send an attachment to somebody, you can just paste it in the body of an email, whereas on the iPad, unless it's different than the iPhone, Cliff will no doubt correct me on this, you still have to do the share option. So it's a matter of a lot of things you'll find you can do more efficiently on a Mac than you can on a mobile device. I can't speak for the low vision aspect, but you can always check out, the classes that Chanelle has posted on YouTube, which will give you, they are from a voiceover perspective, but you're going to find, with the Mac, you do have a lot of your iOS apps, but, like with mail, messages, that sort of thing. And I think for what you're wanting, probably an M1 MacBook Air would be sufficient. It's a laptop, and it's kind of like it's a lower end laptop, but still very high end for what the Mac can do, and for your basic computer use, like for email and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with like the MacBook Pro, of course, but if you don't really need that much power or don't want to spend that much money, I think you'll find the MacBook Air. Otherwise, the other thing I don't know what it's like an iMac is like for low vision users, but the one thing you would have if you got a Mac Mini is you wouldn't have portability. That's like it's a mini desktop tower, but you'd be able to plug in your own monitor. So I don't know if that's something that would help you as a low vision user or not. If you have a specific computer monitor that you really need to use, that's not a laptop screen. So that is what I have to say on that.
This is Cliff.
May I ask
Okay.
one small question?
Yeah, so it's important to say your name first. Go ahead and
Oh.
ask, and then we'll go to Cliff, but go ahead,
Suchita,
Yeah,
sorry.
Sachita. Yep.
Is it on the? Oh, well, I can wait for my turn. You can go ahead. It's okay.
No. Oh, okay.
I was just gonna actually agree with Herbie that the MacBook Air is probably the best option, especially for portability. If you're looking for something that's always available to be on the internet, I guess, like if you're traveling or out at the park or whatever, the Mac or the iPad would probably be the way to go because you can get cellular data. But for, as Herbie would say, he's probably going to be surprised that I actually agree with him twice. The full computing experience, the Mac is my choice because I love my iPad. I love it because, you know, that's my device that I use outside the house. But when I'm in my house, in my office, the Mac is where I'm at because I can copy and paste faster. I can browse a little faster. I can tab and command tab between apps a lot faster, copy, paste, move things around. It's just a lot more faster than the iPad and the iPhone because you don't have to share, you don't have to drag, you don't have to drop. You can just cut, copy, paste, boom, and go, go, go. So I would actually agree with that assessment.
Okay,
This is
great.
Kathy Long with another question.
Okay, is it related to this one or?
Kind of.
All right, well,
I
let's just
wanted
get
to
back.
kn-
Oh, sorry. Let's, Sachita, I know you did have a comment. Was that, did you want to follow
No,
up?
actually, so when they were recommending the two gentlemen between the Mac Air or the Mac Mini, I guess,
Mhm.
which one is the one that's now touchscreen so you can enlarge pictures? You know, like you can do on the iPhone
This
and
is Herbie.
iPad.
Yeah, so hold on. We do everything purely here from a voiceover perspective. So we aren't going to really be able to answer that well, but I guess Herbie does have an answer. But we ask that
So-
everybody please try to keep questions related to voiceover. So
Okay,
anyway,
sorry.
go ahead, Herbie.
So again, I'm not a low vision expert like Chanelle said, but I would think that having the MacBook Air with its built-in trackpad would be probably be more beneficial for that type of thing. I mean, I guess you can always get external trackpads and mice and whatever for the Mac Mini, but I would imagine the trackpad that would be built into the MacBook Air would probably be more beneficial. But Brad would actually know.
Okay, Brad, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, in answer to her question, no Mac has a touch screen. None of the desktop, none of the laptops. The Mac Mini comes, you add your own monitor to it, so that of course would not. But no Mac. The only touch screen you're going to get would be on the iPad you're asking about.
Okay, very good clarification. That helps. All right, I hope you found that useful, Sachita, and hope your experience trying to decide between all these different devices goes well. And so now, Kathy, you have a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know approximate prices of what these would cost, the Mini and the Air.
All
And
right.
I don't know if the Mini would, you know, I guess it would be smaller, which doesn't really bother me any as long as it has enough power to do what I want to do.
Okay, so the Mini is actually a tower, basically.
Oh
the
no, I don't
Mini,
want that.
yeah. So the Air, and does anyone have the prices
This is
offhand?
Brad.
Yeah, Brad, go ahead.
I think the Air starts from Apple. I think it's $9,000. Is it $10,999? It may be a
No,
little
but
less.
I'm sorry, this is Cliff.
What is it?
It's $9.99. And then it
Okay.
goes up from there as you add RAM. And I wanted to correct Chanelle a little bit. It's not that you're using the wrong terminology, but I just want to give people a little better idea. The Mini is not more a sense of a tower, but more I'd call it a flat, oversized Apple TV because it doesn't really stand up. It's like a flat square box that you just plug stuff into. So for a better description per se, because I've owned a couple of them, so I know what they look like. And the Mini starting off is like $699, but if you're not worried about screen size and you're just going to buy, or you already have externals to plug into it, I'd get the Mini because you get more bang for your buck than back when I was using one. I used to max it out and I'd still pay less than a MacBook Pro. So
All
Well, how
right.
many plugins can you get for it? I mean, how many inputs is there in the tower thing?
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie, go ahead.
So the Mac Mini is still like a regular computer in the if you remember those older desktop towers, it's gonna have, a port for the monitor. It's going to, and then it's going to depend on, do you use Bluetooth devices or do you use USB devices?
This is
So
Brad.
like, yeah, Brad.
Yeah, Brad,
I
go
was going
ahead.
to say, answer to the question, the Mac Mini right now comes in two versions. There's an M1 Mac Mini, and they still sell an Intel Mac Mini. And the newer M1 Mac Mini right now has two USB-A ports, two USB-C ports, an HDMI port, and a Ethernet port. They still sell the Intel for now. It's about to be replaced. And it has pretty much the same, but it has four USB-C ports, two USB-As, an HDMI, and the Ethernet. And my understanding is they are about to come out, well, it's rumored that in the fall, they will come out with a upgraded, they'll replace the Intel Mac Minis will go away. I don't know if they're going to make the current M1 go away. I bet they won't. I bet they'll keep it. And they will replace the Intels with a higher end, allegedly, supposedly with the M1X chip. And of course, whatever they're going to call it, we don't know for sure what they're really going to call it. And it should have this, it's supposed to have the same higher end number of ports as the current Intels. Now, I know Cliff has got an M1 Mac Mini, at least he did, so he may have something to add to that.
Actually, I don't. I'm sorry, this is Cliff. Actually, I don't. I sold it, got a MacBook Pro. Then they came out with the iMac that was so pretty. So I was like, no. So I sent that back and got the iMac 24 inch. So that's what's on my desk now. But when I did have the M1, it only had, you were right, it has two USB-Cs and two USB-As along with your Ethernet port and your HDMI port.
All
Well, thank
right.
you. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, Suchita, go ahead.
So when I'm almost blind now, but if I want to purchase any of these, do I go to the Apple store to help them so someone can help me set it up? Or what would be the first step?
This is Jesse.
Yes, Jesse, go ahead.
I like to call, I guess it's called Apple Help number, and they seem to have most of the information you need and listen to your questions. They don't pressure you to sell you anything, but they're set up to go ahead and sell you something if you want it. There have been many times I've just called that Apple Help number to get information about something I'm thinking about buying, and so that's what I recommend is to call.
No, I
Apple
mean
Help
once I get it home,
Oh.
what to do to set it up?
Okay, yes, Brad, go ahead.
If you live where you have an Apple store close to you, that is an excellent place to go. You can get your hands on them before you buy them. It's noisy in there, so it's might want to bring a pair of headphones with you if you're going to use VoiceOver that can plug into a headphone jack. But if you choose to buy one, they should be able to help you get it out of the box and turn it on for the first time and go through the basics of getting it going for you. If you've never, ever touched one before, that might not be a bad idea. If you've done one before, then you maybe don't need very much assistance, but they should be able to, get you going when you purchase the thing.
Susan?
Yeah, just a sec, Susan.
Sure.
And just as a point of clarification too, if anybody ever decided to set the Mac up yourself, VoiceOver, as soon as you open the lid, you will hear a voice. If you're setting it up for the very first time, nobody has touched it, nobody has done anything, you'll hear a voice that says something like, to use English, press enter. And so you are able to do the setup process independently if you choose, but then there's the Apple Store and they're great and knowledgeable. So that's an excellent resource as well. All right, Susan, go ahead.
Yeah, what I really recommend, and I've done it several times, and it's been a lifesaver for me. When I buy, when I bought my Mac laptop, for an example, I had it delivered straight to the store, and I made a Genius, they call it a Genius appointment. And that's a lot better than walk-in, because you could be waiting God only knows how long. So make a Genius appointment and tell them who you are, and they'll go get your device, and they'll help you set it up the way that you need it, that's best for you, and show you how to do a few things to get you started, and even transfer everything for you, like if you had music or documents or whatever, your contacts into the new device. And also there's that Apple accessibility number, that place you can call, which I love very much. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
No, that's useful information. Make a Genius Bar appointment if you want them to help you with your computer and get it set up. Great. Okay, who would like to ask our next question?
Linda.
Yeah, Linda.
What is the shortcut keys to turn voiceover on?
Great question. That is a foundational question. Awesome. Who would like to answer
Brad.
that? Brad, go ahead.
If you're using a Mac, regular Mac, with F keys, you can use Command F5. If you've got a Mac with a touch bar, you'll need to use the Touch ID Center. You hold down the Command key and press the Touch ID Center, which also doubles as a power button, 3 times real quick, and that'll toggle VoiceOver on and off.
Okay, which key is the Command key?
This is Brad.
Yep, go ahead.
Command key is on either side, either end of the space bar, kind of like an Alt key on a Windows computer.
Okay, right next to the space bar.
Mm.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff.
You can also ask Siri, and you can, there's another way. I just can't think of it off the top of my head right now with the touch bar. Yeah, I think Brad already mentioned, but yeah, you can also ask Siri if your Mac is already on and it's not powered down. You can also say, hey, her name, and she'll turn it on for you.
That, yes, and that's on Macs with the T2 secured. So, but otherwise, so that's when the Hey, SIRI works on Macs with the security chip, which are, Macs basically later than 2018. Or if you have the Siri shortcut set up, you would have already had to have that set up. And the most common one is holding down Command and Spacebar. That does also work. So lots of ways to do the same thing, even something as basic as turning on VoiceOver. Excellent. All right, who would like to ask our next question?
Mark in Montreal.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
2 things. You guys answer questions about peripherals at all that go with the Mac?
Definitely. If it's related to the Mac, yep, go ahead.
Okay, I've got an HP printer, and unfortunately, it's one of those printers that doesn't have a touch capability. It's one of those things that somebody with sight would have to configure to my Wi-Fi and that sort of thing. So that's not an issue. It's been done before, but not by her. So, but once you get the printer set up and on your Wi-Fi, you should be able to print normally, I would assume, on the Mac the same way I had it before, without any issues, just on the new Wi-Fi, and get the ink cartridges for it and whatnot. I assume that would work.
Okay, who can comment on printing via Wi-Fi with the HP?
This is Cliff.
Yeah, Cliff,
No,
go
my
ahead.
fault. Did you want to take this one, Brad?
Well, I've kind of missed some of his question. I wasn't sure what he meant. I didn't know if he was looking to obtain a printer or whatever.
I
would
think
just
he was
go
just
say-
asking if he switches his Wi-Fi, if his printer is back on Wi-Fi, can he, as long as the ink is set up correctly, will it still print as long as it
It
changes to
should
the new
still
Wi-Fi?
work.
That's what I was
Yeah,
going
it
to
should
say.
still
Yes.
work. As long as you're connected to your Wi-Fi, yeah.
Okay, subsequent to that, is there an equivalent for what you use in Windows from Freedom called Open Book, that you can use your scanner in your printer as you would in Windows if you wanted to? Is there something equivalent on the Mac?
It's Brad.
Yes, Brad?
There's a couple. There's one called Abby Fine Reader, and that's
Okay.
available through the Mac App Store. It may be available outside of the App Store, but I just know you get to the App Store. And a company formerly known DocuScan Plus, they changed their names, Numa Solutions. It used to be Serotech. Now
I'm
they
familiar
changed
with
the- Yeah, and they still sell DocuScan Plus. I can't remember how much it costs, but they're both supposed to be pretty good solutions. I don't have any experience using either one.
Okay, that's a good way to go, and I'm looking forward to the course. Chanelle, thank you so
Yep.
much.
All right, thank
Put
you.
myself back on mute.
Okay. So I know somebody else was starting to speak up at the same time as Mark, and I didn't quite catch it.
Nancy?
Nancy.
Yes. So I have a 24-inch iMac on back order to replace my 9-year-old 27-inch iMac. And I had read a great review. The guy liked it, but he said that the keyboard was kind of small and he kept hitting the shift key. And I just heard Cliff saying that he has a 24-inch MacBook, iMac, sorry. So I'm wondering if anybody, Cliff, of course, has that issue.
All right, issues with the keyboard.
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
I don't have big hands, so I don't have a problem with the keyboard. I personally don't like the extended keyboard, and that's the keyboard that has the numpad on it. To me, that's too. Chanelle and Herbie are both going to hit me for this one, but it's too Windows-ish for me. So I don't like the extended keyboard. So I love the smaller keyboard. Plus the fact that it comes with Touch ID. I don't have to, worry about typing in my passwords no more unless I'm on a site or I just turn my Mac on and stuff like that. So to me, it's fine. I think it's probably gonna depend on the size of your fingers and your personal preference.
Well, interesting, because I think the difference between getting the iMac with and without Touch ID was $200. So I opted for the iMac without.
This is Cliff.
Yes,
That's not necessarily true.
No?
There's a difference between the style of Mac, because I think one is 7 cores and one is 8 cores, but the keyboard you could upgrade for $30, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't
Okay.
you don't have to pay the $200 difference. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
There are actually, yes, Cliff is right. There's some other differences in the two. It isn't just the availability of the keyboard with Touch ID. I believe that. I'm not sure if that can be purchased separately. It like Cliff said, I think there's a little difference in the processor. There is a little difference in you get more ports on the back of it, and I believe you also get a power supply that includes an Ethernet port, which may or may not be concerned to some people. It's not to me, but there's no reason. You mentioned you had you're retiring a 27-inch iMac, and if the keyboard you've been using with that 27-inch iMac, there's no reason why you can't continue using it with your new one.
Well, this is Nancy. It uses batteries.
But it should still work.
It does, but it's kind of
it
like
would still work with the new iMac. If you like it, you should be able to use it.
I don't.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of like there are certain keys that you really have to pound on in order for it to work, like the J, and there are certain letters that, I think it's time.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Well, there's some options out there.
Mhm.
Apple still's they're you probably ordered the Bluetooth Magic Keyboard that comes with it.
No,
You didn't order. It comes with a keyboard.
it does. But
Which
that's
one
what
did you-
I'm sorry. Yep.
Which one did you order with it?
So it comes with the keyboard, and that's what I was saying initially, that the reviewer said the keyboard that it comes with is small. And he was having issues always hitting the shift key by mistake.
Yeah, this is Brad. I believe it comes with, by default, the regular Apple Magic Bluetooth keyboard, the small one, the
Awesome.
one that Cliff likes. It's got a
Mhm.
layout that's essentially the same as what's on a MacBook Air, including F keys. And I will say the keys are a little tight. I have one that I sometimes use on my phone or my iPad. The keys are slightly smaller than the ones on a MacBook Pro. That the full size Magic Keyboard that includes a number pad, I have one of those too, and those keys are slightly larger than the little Magic keypad. And I also prefer a full size keyboard. I like the number pad,
Mhm.
but so there's some options. There's also some other third parties that sell one. I recently tried the Logitech, what's it called? K350? Is that it? No, I can't remember the number. Forgive me. It's not the 480. That's a small one. It's the same layout. It was a big one. And I did not, I sent it back because being a VoiceOver user, I want to be able to do VoiceOver commands that use the F keys. And it has the function key, FN key, in the 6-pack on the top row left corner. And the problem with it is that when you go into keyboard preferences, that you'll frequently see an option that allows you to dictate whether the F keys do hardware functions or F key functions without you having to do anything else. And that option is not there with that Logitech keyboard. And to try
This
to
is
hold
Cliff.
down VO.
I'm sorry to
and-
interrupt you, Brad, but
no,
doesn't?
okay. Let Brad finish.
Oh, okay.
And the
Let
problem
Brad
was,
finish.
that I had was I'm not able to hold down a VO modifier and be it the control option or the caps lock key, hold down that FN key and then press a function key. I need 3 hands and I don't have that. So that's why I like to, so I sent that one back.
All
You wanna
right.
let-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Cliff, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask Brad a question. Doesn't the Apple one with the numpad, doesn't that have the function key in the upper in 6-pack also?
Yes, it does. But for some reason,
Oh, but
the
you can
Apple ones,
remap it though, right?
where you can, that option will show up. That was the problem with the
Oh, okay. I see.
Logitech. That option does not show up.
Okay.
That was my issue. So when I got it, I played with it. I turned it on, and actually, I was looking for an alternative because keyboard I've been using on my Mac Mini's been around a while, and I saw this one. It was on sale through what can I say it? Amazon. So I said I'd try it out. I'd heard about it, and I saw that I was not able to modify that behavior. So I put it back in a box and sent it back.
Wow. That is weird and good to know. Because yes, that what Brad's talking about, you should be able to go to system preferences, keyboard, and change how the function keys behave. So
This is Cliff. Before you move on, Chanelle,
uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I have a Logitech one, and it just came out probably about a year ago, and it's an extended one. I don't have the model number. I wish I did. I don't use it that often, and it's an extended one, like the one Brad's talking about, but it's a little different because instead of the 6-pack, the function pin being up in the 6-pack,
Montreal, Quebec, Canada has left.
it's in the bottom row right next to the command key on the right side, what actually makes it easier to use. So when you're trying to do those functions you were talking about, Brad, you can just push command and function together because they're right next to each other on the right side of the keyboard instead of up in that 6-pack. I wish I could remember the model number on it, but I love it when I'm using it because you compare it with 3 devices and I can fly between my Mac, my iPad, and my phone. But when I'm doing just Mac stuff, I like to use my small one.
All right. Yes, that's good to know. Lots of Logitech out there. If you think of it or come up with a name, you can always share that with us later. All right. Who would like to ask the next question?
This is Jesse.
Yes, Jesse.
Yeah, I've got a MacBook Pro Retina early 2013, so I'm still stuck in Catalina world. Want to update to a 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 chip. Any word on when they're going to come out with that?
Brad,
Yes, Brad?
Yeah.
probably October, but nobody knows for sure. That's the rumor mill. You shouldn't have to wait for too long. And what I read today says there will be a 14 and a 16-inch, and the supply chain rumors say they will have an identical processor, probably that M1X or whatever it'll really be called. And they're saying that really the only difference between the two should be the size. So we'll have to see what happens in October.
Definitely.
Thanks.
All right. Great question. Okay. And I know David was also asking about the MacBook Pro and all that when the new one's going to come out. So who would like to ask our next question?
All right.
This is
This is
Judy.
David.
Oh,
you had
okay.
someone else.
Judy, and then
Okay,
David.
Judy first.
David, you'll be right after Judy. So Judy, go ahead. Oh,
Thanks, Chanelle. So I have a question. Excuse me. I kind of put my Mac down since about May, and I've just picked it back up again. I just got so saturated, but I'm ready to rock and roll again. But I have a question. We can find lots of like the VoiceOver K. Does all the VoiceOver commands on the keyboard. And then, I know the basic ones for the Mac, like the command, S or command P or command V. But where can we find a list of ones like you guys were talking at the beginning of the meeting, like command shift A for applications? I think you said command shift H for home. Where do you find a list of those? Those are Mac commands, right?
they are. And who would
Where do
like
you
to
find a good list? Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
who would like to answer Judy's question?
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
Command or no, voiceover keys and the letter H. There's a list of every key shortcut, even your commanders are in that list. Isn't that right, Chanelle?
That is not actually for Mac commands. Awesome idea, but not for like the Mac commands that Judy is talking about, unfortunately.
Oh,
But
okay.
great idea, though. Awesome.
I haven't
Thinking
looked in there in a while. I thought they were in there, but I do know that you can turn on keyboard help and push any key combination and it'll tell you what they are.
That's just for
Yep.
voiceover commands. So
Yeah.
not, it doesn't tell you command P is print. So there are, I will go ahead and answer. There are lists of keyboard commands, and there are a few lists. Like if you just Google Mac keyboard commands, or if you go to, I can even send out a link, and you will be sent one to, as being a member of the class, where all these different keyboard commands are listed. And other great places to find keyboard commands are in the menu bar. So let's say you go into your file menu and you VOM and then you find file, you down arrow, you'll see things like new, command N, open, command O. If you go into Zoom in, let's say, well, that's kind of a bigger leap, but in Finder, there's a Go menu that lists all the commands for the folders. And I think Brad was trying to interject something. So am I right? Was that Brad?
This is Brad.
Yep.
No, you got it. I was going to suggest in any application, you can always check the menu bar and the various pull down menus. We usually list many different keyboard commands that are applicable in whatever the current application is.
Could I add to that question? Thank you so much.
Yes, go ahead.
So
Judy.
just out of curiosity, what application might show which app under the menu bars might show the command Shift A for application? Which menu might show that out of
Yeah, Brad,
curiosity?
go ahead.
And if you're in Finder,
Yeah.
go to the menu bar. First of all of them will show something, but the one that will show the Command Shift A, you'll find a menu called Go. And in there, you can go to different folders, and pretty much every one of them is going to have a keyboard command that will tell you that you can go to documents using Command Shift O. You can go to downloads using Command Option L.
Okay.
And there's just a whole bunch of them in there.
That's what I'm looking for, that bunch of commands. Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you. I'll mute.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. And thanks, Judy. We're getting lots of excellent questions. Just how to find basic commands on the Mac, how to get voiceovers. So all of these are really important. And so I think David is next to
I have
ask
a
a question.
suggestion. I think iBUG today is a great place to go for training, but I think it would be a lot more useful. I think to tell people to go Google and search for lists is a little bit too much. And I think there needs to be a place for some reference material and resources. And I think that iBUG today should provide that. You could provide some lists of Mac shortcuts. You could provide voiceover shortcuts, gestures, and other information. However, people can go to applevis.com, applevis.com, and look for guides.
This is Herbie.
They have a series of guides. They have a series of podcasts. You can find information there. But I think for a lot of people, it's a little daunting. And so if iBUG today would provide some of this material right there, I think it would make people feel a little more comfortable. It's just a suggestion. But my question has to do with the voiceover modifier key. And I notice that although people say you don't have to use it as much, you do have to use it seems, than you would the screen reader commands in Windows. I mean, there's a definite difference between screen reader commands and Windows commands, whereas I think it's a little bit more blurred sometimes in the Mac. If I'm wrong, you can let me know. But for instance, I understand that when you select something, you have to press the VO keys plus space. And I'm just wondering why you would have to use the VO key for that.
All right. Okay, Brad. So I guess actually Herbie and then Brad.
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to mention that, iBUG today will definitely do what they want, but, this is why we actually have the calls to direct people to these resources. But, if you take Chanelle's classes, you actually do get a list of available resources. And I guess I didn't understand. I'll let Brad answer your voiceover modifier question because I didn't quite fully understand it. But, I think that, like I said, people that take the class do get access to an internal list of resources. And I think a lot of times people find like these calls and stuff sometimes more helpful than trying to browse through documents. At least that's what I've noticed, but that's all I have to say on that. But yeah.
All right, Brad.
As far as the voiceover modifier key, I was going to say every single screen reader program I've ever used, be it on the Mac or on Windows, every one of them has its own modifier key that needs to be used in conjunction with keyboard commands. For that matter, even most operating system specific keyboard commands require a modifier key. If I'm on the Mac and I want to do a copy, well, I have to hold down the command key and a C. If I'm on Windows, I'm holding down a control key and a C. If
That's
I'm
not what I
using,
mean, Brad. Excuse me. I don't hate to interrupt, but that's
well,
you're
excuse
going
me.
down the wrong road
Okay.
here.
Let's let Brad finish and
But he doesn't understand my question.
I
okay.
So
think I
I
do.
would like to make that, let me explain. I'm not talking about
Okay,
Command
let's
C. I'm not
we're going
talking about
to
control. See, excuse me, Chanelle, I want to make this, people need to understand. I'm saying that you have to
no,
press
okay,
the VO key when you want to select something. In Windows, you just press enter. You don't press a modifier key.
all right,
This is Gail.
David, okay,
Thank you.
stop, everyone, stop.
Oh.
Stop. And first of all, if you interrupt anyone again, I'm sorry, but I will have to put you in the waiting room. And Brad was trying to speak, and we're all trying to have a great experience here. I'll just say real quick that you definitely can press space or enter many times. You don't always have to use VO space, but to continue with Brad, go ahead.
Well, I was just trying to point out that if you're using any of the major screen readers on the Windows platform, they all require a modifier key, and that's no different than using the VO modifier. Now, as far as what you're saying, VO spacebar to select, well, that's just kind of a voiceover thing. And I've never really given it any thought. I've never really thought it was a problem.
Okay, and then I think somebody else was going to.
This is Gail.
Okay,
This is
Gail, that's right. Gail, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I think what I was trying to explain when he said the VO space was on a Mac, that you do VO space is the same thing as enter on a Mac. So that a lot of times the reason that you have to it says VO, you hear when you're using the VO keys and you have the hints on and it says VO space. The reason you do that, it is instead of enter on Windows, it is VO space. At the same time, you either press caps lock and the space bar, or you press Control Option at the same time and the space bar.
That is how VO space is entered, definitely, or how it is activated, whatever you want to say. Okay.
And that's what I was trying to explain.
Yeah. Okay, Cliff, go ahead.
I'll leave the other resource alone. I'll just say that there's a lot of negativity on there about the Mac with a lot of people from other platforms, not just Windows, that have negative stuff to say about Mac. So I really take that stuff with a grain of salt. But as for the voiceover modifier thing, if you have quick nav on, you don't have to use spacebar. You can press the up and down arrows together and it will also activate the whatever you're trying to enter on. So the VO number of keys like VO spacebar or VO command control option or the modifier key with the spacebar is not always necessary. You can push up and down arrow together.
Yes, excellent. And I am going to take a little prerogative here and just make a comment that I too do prefer sometimes not having to hold down extra keys. But on the Mac, it's often you can get away with just using Mac commands where you might think that you might have to do voiceover commands. Not always, but there are, and yes, it can be said, in my experience, you do sometimes use the modifier a little bit more in voiceover. But to do any sort of screen reader commands, you do have to use a modifier. If you are doing OS specific commands, then it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're just trying to navigate with the arrow keys, then you can do that in any OS. There's only certain situations where you might need to hold down VO while doing left or right. And there's just a number. I think it's just important, though, to really learn the Mac for the Mac's sake, accept its strengths, accept its limitations. As a Windows user, I can say I like doing, sometimes I prefer some of those sequences. On the other hand, I love the way my Mac has the Mail app, and I love that it is so tightly integrated with my iPhone. So you just learn to take the best of all worlds and make the best of it. So, with that being said, who would like to ask the next question?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Well, I just want to follow up before we move on. You were talking about using non VO commands to do a lot of things. As far as the using enter key, even when you're not using VoiceOver, for example, the enter key doesn't select things. If I'm going through a Finder window and I come across a file, and I want to open it, I don't use the enter key to open it like I do on Windows. I have to use either Command O or Command down arrow to open it. It's just the Mac. The Mac is just different. And either you you want to use the back, I don't know. I never really gave a thought to it. I just learned it's just a different way of doing things. That's all.
Yep, it is.
Also, if I could, I didn't get a chance to touch on this.
Oh, sure.
There was a mention of, referring people to look things up on Google. I was an AT trainer for 20 years. And one of the things I learned that was most important in being an AT trainer is teaching people to use resources that are out there so that they can learn to answer questions for themselves, find answers to things they have on themselves. It's kind of like that old thing. If I give somebody a fish, they'll eat for today, or I can teach them to fish and they'll eat forever. So if I can teach somebody how to look stuff up on their own and not depend on someone else to answer their questions for them, then I have done them the greatest service I can do. So to show somebody how they can look things up, be it on Google or whatever search engine you want, or learn to look things up on Apple Viz, then I have done them the greatest service I can do, rather than just providing. That's okay, rather than just providing, here's a handout I've posted. That's it.
Yep. Thank you. Awesome. And yeah, that's indeed, we have to be able to train people how to catch the fish, not just give them the fish. I like that analogy. Herbie, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a comment on this, and then I actually have a new interesting question for Brad and Cliff. Probably you'll be the ones to answer it, but
your comment, and then we're going to see if other people have questions.
Well, because I had a totally new question. But my comment is basically, I am a big Google user myself when it comes to looking up questions, because sometimes resources don't always have the questions I'm looking for. For instance, I don't think any of Chanelle's resources had any questions I had on ringtones with the Mac. I had to find that out by Google. And you can ask very specific questions on Google, and that'll get you, oftentimes find you what you're looking for. So like I asked the question one time, how do I customize, can I put in my own customized ringtones on the Mac? And I got an article that definitely was very helpful, and I know where to go now if I want to do it. But, you'll find that if you just type in specific questions on Google, that is going to a lot of times bring up really good results. And that's all I really had to say on that. And just the other thing is, when you bring up Safari, if you have it set, it'll bring up the Google search bar, address bar right then and there, so you can just start typing away, and it's really wonderful.
That it is. Okay. All right. Well, then let's go ahead and ask your question, and then.
So I think this might be helpful to other people too, which is why I'm asking it on here. But we've talked about, the two desktop type computers, Mac Mini, and iMac. And I'm just wondering, is there any major difference in the computing power between the two?
This is Cliff.
Right. Go ahead, Cliff.
I'd say no, because the Mini and the iMac, both desktop computers, one comes with everything built in, one you have to buy or connect other things to have the ability to be maxed out the same, at least on the Intel ones they did. I haven't looked into the iMac 24-inch and the Mac Mini M1s, but I'm almost positive that they can be. Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they both can be maxed out to the same. The only difference is the Mac Mini does it well. It does come with the Ethernet port built into it, so you would have to worry about that piece of accessory to have to upgrade to. But I'm pretty sure that they both can be maxed out to them, evenly.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad?
Yeah, I have to agree with Cliff. It depends on they both can be maxed out. They both have a variety of processors. I mean, obviously right now there's only one M1 processor and it's very powerful. But the Intels, and the iMac now, I believe it's only available with the M1. But when you look at in the days of the Intel, you would look through the different processors that were available, different levels of RAM. Some machines offered, more RAM than others, and different levels of storage capability. But generally speaking, there may be slight differences in what's available, but you can pretty much pick out a configuration in any of them that's comparable to what you can pick out in the others. And a Mac Mini versus an iMac.
So this is Herbie.
Okay, go ahead.
So if I can, okay, that's what I thought. So if I can just sum it up, and you can tell me if this is good for people that are just totally confused. So they're both the same in computing power. The only difference is the Mac Mini is you hook up all your accessories to if you want to use your own monitor, your own whatever. But the iMac is a desktop, but it has all that stuff built in.
Brad.
Yes,
Yeah.
Brad.
The iMac is like an all-in-one. It's a monitor, and
right.
Everything is built into the monitor. The difference with the M1s is the lower end Mac, the lower end iMac, and to that matter, the lower end the M1 iMac right now. I mean, the M1 Mac Mini have less ports on the iMac, the low end iMac has only 2 ports. It's very similar to a MacBook Air. And then when you go to the middle and then the upper tier, they have 4 USB-C type ports on the back. And then we already discussed the difference in the M1 Mac Mini and the Intel Mac Mini.
Sachita?
But, that's the main difference. There's just some slight different things in them.
Yes, Sachita, go ahead.
I have the iMac that Blind Services had gotten me about 9 years ago. And so my main use is for email, just using the mail application. And my question is, my daughter was trying to help me do the updates, and it's saying it's no longer has the ability. I don't know much about computers, so I don't even know how to ask the question that you can't update this particular Mac anymore.
Okay, so you're wanting to, all right, well, go ahead, Herbie.
Yeah, your computer is too old to accept the latest updates. So if you want a more updated OS, then you will need a newer computer. That being said, I think Catalina is probably still secure than perhaps some more outdated Windows updates. Computer stop, but no, your computer is just too old to take the latest updates, and that's why it's saying that.
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad.
Even if you've got, I know if you said you've got one that you got about 9 years ago, I'm thinking that's a 2012. That one is updatable, I believe, up to Catalina. But, I was working with somebody the other day who had a 2009 MacBook, and she was running High Sierra, and it was quite capable of doing what this woman wanted to do. She wants to do email, and she wants to do the internet, and that's about it. And there was no reason why her computer running High Sierra would not continue doing what she wants it to do until that computer developed some physical issue that makes it not work until a key goes bad on the keyboard. I mean, I think it had a 300 and something hard gigabyte 300 something hard drive, gigabyte hard drive, and she only had 50 something gigabytes of stuff on it. I mean, she was fine. There was no, so there, unless it's not doing what you want to do, if all you're using it is email and internet, then you're fine. It should just continue to chug along doing what you want it to do just fine.
Thank you.
Jesse?
I was only
Oh.
concerned about the internet safety part of it, and I don't really know enough about any of this.
Do
Okay,
you know, this is Brad.
go ahead, Brad.
Are you running Catalina?
No, I think it's the one before that.
Oh, Mojave. Well, they're still updating Safari. Those
Oh.
updates are still being done. So if you from time to time go check, I'm trying to think if Mojave had moved it to outside of the App Store. I think that was Mojave. They moved it to software update in the system preferences. You will from time to time find that there's an OS update, and Safari is usually included in the OS update. It may say something like security update available. So even though it doesn't update you from Mojave to Catalina, and if it's a 2012, that should run Catalina. But if not, Mojave's fine. But
Suchita, thank
should
you
be
so
fine
much.
with those.
Thank you.
Okay, Jesse.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm running Catalina and I have for a couple of years. My computer's 8 years old. It's a MacBook Pro Retina, and really no problems yet. And they support it too, so no problems with not running current stuff for me.
Okay, great. And I think Gail was trying to ask a question.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Chanelle.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I was wondering on a Mac, because I've done Netflix, on the television, but how easy is it, or has anyone done, like Netflix, for example, on a Mac? Or is it easier to do it on other devices?
Okay. Who would like to answer Gail's question about using Netflix on a Mac?
Or other, I have other Apple also,
This is
and
Cliff.
other. Yeah.
All right, Cliff, go ahead.
Netflix is fine. There's not an app for it on the Mac. You would have to go into Safari and browse in Safari, which is easy. Just use H for headings and get to your titles. You can search and all that good stuff. Now, I will say, because I'm one of those people who don't care. Well, I'm not gonna say I don't care about rules, but I like to bend them a little bit. And in the Mac App Store now, you can load some iOS and iPad apps on to your Mac. If there's a section, it'll say for iPad and iOS. And I'll go through those apps to see which ones that are actually ready for the Mac. Now, my HBO Max app said for iPad only, but I downloaded it on my Mac anyway.
And let me just clarify, I hate to interrupt you, but
Go ahead.
this is only for your M1 Mac, though? Is that correct?
No, it actually started in iOS 14. Where you could load some of your iOS apps, but the developer has to make it available.
Right, and I thought that was only available for the Macs with the M1 chip.
Nope, they started at in the beginning iOS 14.
Okay.
But I tried HBO Max. It loaded. It let me log in, but it wouldn't let me watch anything. So basically what I'm saying is do it at your own risk. I've never tried Netflix because I actually enjoy it better on my phone and my Apple TV. So I've never even really attempted to watch anything in Safari. But yeah, the Explorer is basically what I'm saying.
Okay, Herbie, go ahead.
So when I tried Netflix, it's been a while. I think I had some problems getting stuff to play in Safari. But you may actually find the app easier. Disney Plus, I know you can definitely use in Safari. I've had no problems with that one, but it is still a little bit easier navigating with the Mac, with the phone. But the advantage you have with Safari is you can use a find command if you're looking for something that's like, say, in your favorites or whatever. The one thing that is a little bit better, I think, is Apple TV Plus. I almost like a little bit better on the Mac than I do with the iPhone because it includes the thing that frustrates me on the iPhone is the library. It won't recognize. It only recognizes my purchases, but the library seems to be a little bit more inclusive on the Apple TV app on the Mac to include like the Apple TV Plus shows, and then plus two. The one thing you have to get used to with the Apple TV, the TV app on the Mac, is it does not automatically go to the next episode, but on the phone, unless you have the screen locked, it does. So that's one thing you do have to get used to. But Apple TV Plus has become a lot better on the phone, but the thing I also too like on the app is I can just it takes me to a search bar at the top and I can just search what I'm looking for, and it doesn't seem to matter which window I'm in, whether I'm in library or the Apple TV Plus window, and it does matter on the phone. So that's kind of been my experience a little bit.
Okay, great.
Okay, so some of them work and some of them don't. I'm getting right, and so
This is Herbie.
Okay, Herbie, go ahead.
It boils down to this: just experiment. Log into Netflix and
Right.
Safari and see how it goes for you.
Oh, right, and I have like Apple Plus and HBO Max and Hulu and
Apple
some of
TV
the-
Plus, I think, is a little bit better on the Mac than on the phone.
Yes.
But this Netflix, just try it and see what you think.
This is Brad.
Okay.
Okay, Brad.
One caveat Hurry had mentioned was when you're using Apple TV Plus on your Mac, you're using the TV app on the Mac, whereas the others, you're going to your Safari browser. I don't use a lot of the other services, but I mean, I do use Apple TV Plus, but as far as Netflix and stuff on my Mac, but I have used Amazon TV. What do they call it? God, why can't I say it?
Prime.
Yeah, thank you.
Prime Video. Yep.
Yeah. And what I never liked was I find it so much more direct and to the point using the app on my phone or my iPad even, as opposed to navigating on the Safari, navigating the Amazon Prime on Safari. It drives me crazy. And I just find it so much simpler to use it on the iOS app that they have.
Okay. All right. Well, that's really helpful. Thanks. I probably we'll stick to that.
Okay, so who would like to ask the
Thank-
next
thank
question?
you.
Yep. Did somebody say something? No? All right. Well,
This is Gail. I have one quick question.
all right, go ahead.
I use my caps lock for my VO, key, but on my Bluetooth keyboard, but somehow I got my caps lock, was on and everything's in typing on capital letters. And I thought it was like you like triple tap the caps lock to turn off caps lock, but it wasn't working. No, I couldn't remember what the command was to turn that off, the caps lock on the Bluetooth keyboard.
Oh, go ahead, Brad.
Are you using the caps lock key as your VO modifier?
Yes.
You should just tap it twice. It should toggle caps lock on or off.
Well, that's what I thought, but it wasn't working.
You weren't holding your mouth right. No, just give it a try. That should do it.
Yes. Maybe I need to wave a magic wand. Okay,
Yeah, there you go.
thanks. I'll try it again. Thank you.
Or if all else fails, turn voiceover off and back on. Sometimes that works too.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
If
This
all
is
right.
Herbie.
Yes,
Okay.
Herbie. Go
One
ahead.
thing to note with a caps lock key, though, too, is I at least can't seem to get it to turn on and off if I am in a password field.
Okay. Yep, that happens sometimes. All right.
I have a
Well,
question. This is Dot.
oh, Dot. Yes, go ahead.
About quick nav. When do you use it? What is the best way to use it? Because I don't know too much about quick nav.
Okay.
To make it more convenience, I know, but I don't know what is the best way, or when is the best time to use it, or.
This is Herbie.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Herbie, go ahead.
So Cliff and I are going to be polar opposites on this one, just to warn everybody.
Well, just explain what it
yes.
is and when you
All
would
right.
use it.
Okay, very well. So QuickNav is a way that you can, basically it's a method that allows you to use shortcut keys to navigate elements much more quickly. So for instance, I mainly use it in Safari and Club Deck, where I will use heading and button navigation. I don't see a need to have it on anywhere else in the Mac, but some people like it because you have to press less keys, but I find that navigating to get to where you have to press less keys can sometimes just be a little bit more tricky, but it's designed so you can do things one-handed. But to be perfectly honest, I don't even... The only time I really like QuickNav these days is for button navigation, because I can do pretty much most of the same things I want to do without QuickNav on using VO and Command. But QuickNav will also let you use your rotors similar to the iPhone, so it can come in handy with things that are not really readable. The other thing I will use it for is, like, say if I'm in a text window that VoiceOver generally doesn't want to read too well, but I need to see how something is spelled, I will use QuickNav for that, where I'll turn it on, go to words or characters, and, find what I'm looking for. So that is another... Those are the two ways I use the QuickNav. But like I said, most of the time I don't even bother with it. It's just one more thing to remember.
This is Brad.
Yeah.
Yes, Brad.
You can use QuickNav really anywhere, any application. It's just another way of, or another tool in your toolbox. It's another way of navigating. You turn it on using the left and right arrow. It's a toggle. Hit them, turn it on, hit them, turn it off. And you can use it to navigate just, with one hand. You can navigate anything, any application, the Finder, the web. It's just up to you. Experiment with it. I used to use it a lot, and when I was new to the Mac, I thought it was cool. It was just a new thing. As time went on, I found myself using it less. It was something to turn on and turn off, and I just got more familiar with the Mac. But there are times when I do find myself using it, when maybe for whatever reason, I don't want to use both hands. I just want to use one hand for something. It's nice. But one thing, Herbie, I don't know if he mentioned or not, when you're using it in a web application, and you want to use web elements, when you have QuickNav turned on, you can enable what's called quick key navigation. It's a whole you can turn it on or off regardless of whether QuickNav is turned on, but it only does its thing when QuickNav is turned on, and it will allow you to use single keys for web navigation, similar to the way you do in other desktop, screen readers. For example, you want to navigate by heading, you can hit the letter H. You want to navigate to links, L. And there's all kinds of different single letter quick keys. You can also navigate by heading levels using 1 through 6 on the number row, or you can even use the number pad will do it as well. So, I would just play with it and see what you think. You might really find that you like it all the time. You might find it's something that you just use in certain situations.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, just a sec. So thanks for that very thorough description, Brad. And did you mention VOQ to toggle off that single key?
Yeah. VOQ toggles on and off quick key navigation.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if I heard you say that. Okay, Cliff, go ahead.
To be fair, Herbie, I don't use Quick Nav as much as I used to. When I first started using Mac, like Brad, I thought it was cool and it was fun. But I found that, especially in text fields, word processing applications like Pages and Text Edit, it has to be off in order for you to be successful anyway. But one thing I did want to point out to you, Herbie, is you actually don't have to use Quick Nav on Safari. You can just add the command button, hit B, H, L, T, whatever, and it'll take you by them elements also. So technically, you don't have to use single letter navigation for that.
Oh.
Okay, Cliff, were you done?
Just command.
Yes, I was.
And whatever letter.
Okay, Dap, hold on.
Okay.
So Herbie, and then we'll get to, because so Herbie, go ahead.
Yeah, I did mention those VO command keys. The only one I've not gotten it to work with is buttons, but I can always use the VOU method.
VO command B. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'm interrupting.
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
Go ahead. VO command B does bold. It takes you to the next bold item. So.
Oh, that's right.
But the one other thing that I do use QuickNav for that I wanted to mention real quick too is I do prefer sometimes to read web pages with it on, because like if you read web pages with QuickNav off, it reads you each individual line. But if you're like me and you can process a little bit more when you have QuickNav on, I think it reads like 2 or 3 lines at a time. And I find that a little bit less tedious. So that is the other thing I will use QuickNav for.
Okay, Dot, I'm sorry. I know you had something to say.
Like Cliff have said, command and then whatever letter, like B for button or H for heading. Is that what you're trying to say, Cliff? Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah, so you can do like if you can use these things whether QuickNav is on or off. You can actually you can use it with QuickNav off. So if you hold down your VO keys and press command and then use the letter H, that'll take you to the next heading. Or
VO
L,
command. Oh, okay.
Yep,
VO
and then
command.
if you do shift, that takes you to the previous one. There are not as many commands like that though as there are quick keys that Brad was talking about. So that's just
only on the web, right? Only on the web, right? Okay.
Well, you can do those in other places too, actually.
Okay.
But Brad, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they're the same. If I use the VO modifier in command, I think it's the same letters that I use when QuickNav is on and I'm using Quick Key.
Not
it's just that
everything.
It isn't? Okay.
No.
I haven't. Well, then I don't know them all. But one of my favorites is VO command and J, which takes me to the next element. And I find that really helpful when filling out a form. It just jumps to the next form element. It's great.
Definitely.
This is
Sandhya, go ahead.
well. I mean, is this discussion finished? I had just a quick question.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Yeah,
I'll wait.
Just a sec. Like VO command B, for instance, does the button, and VO command F goes to frame, whereas F, which if you're using single keys, goes to your next form field. So there are some differences. But those you can get lost in the details. The important thing is to know we have all these methods available to us. And then if we get really confused, we can go into Voiceover commands help and figure out what all this stuff does. So anyway, Sandhya, go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay, so real quick, when you're in mail and I suppose I search for Chanelle, I search your name, and then I get all these emails, and then I keep tabbing over and over, and then it says something about a smart mail box or something. Can you explain that? Does that mean that just everything that I just searched for, it's just going to put them all there? And then if I want to go back to that, they'll be there? Is that what that means? Or that's my question.
Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Smart mailboxes is something that you can create that will, here's what I've done. I created one called Unread Mail. And I have got some certain rules that when upon arrival, certain things are sent to certain folders. So I created a smart mailbox. It's kind of like creating another rule, but it's a mailbox called Unread. And I have it set so that any mailbox, any unread item will show up in my unread smart mailbox, except unread items in the junk folder and unread items in the trash folder. But any other folder where I have had rules send things to, I can go to the unread mailbox and see just my unread mail. And there's probably, if you go to create smart mailbox, it brings up a dialogue, and you go through and you kind of, it's similar to creating a rule, and you create a set of criteria that you want this mailbox to follow. And then you've got a mailbox like I just described.
Okay, and just to follow up with that though, I think Sandhya, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're asking is that when you do the search, does it automatically create a smart mailbox?
It seems to prompt me like, do you want a smart mailbox? And that's what I never know what that really, means. So I guess I could if I wanted to. And then everything that I've ever gotten from you would be in that mailbox, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Okay.
I've never gotten that prompt, but yeah, that sounds like from how Brad defined a smart mailbox, I guess that's kind of what it would do. So, but I don't think you have to create one just to get your search results. So, okay, well, this has been an excellent call, everyone. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your answers. We will be back next month, and that date is September 28th. So stay tuned and definitely check out all of our events. Go to the ibugtoday.org site, look at upcoming, and stay tuned for everything we have to offer. Thank you very much for coming, and we'll see you next time.
This is Jesse. Thanks, guys. Good one.
Yep, thank you.